it's Leann with artkids.com, sharktearscreative.com, and leannschmidt.com. And I have Aries with me today, and we are doing bubbles. So I thought about this for a long time, like how to teach somebody how to paint bubbles, especially if you're not an artist. I don't know why I make these challenges for myself, but I do. So it starts with a very basic concept. So you're going to use one of your cups. You're going to make a circle like this. You can use an ink pen, or you can use on your canvas very gently. You could use a pencil. And as long as you can kind of see like the lighted highlight of the pencil, that's pretty good. But if you use a light, like a thin Sharpie or something like that, that's fine too. But and then, you know, so you go around, and then I think I used a bottle cap for the last one. So, you know, whatever you have laying around the house, you surely to God have at least one round thing that you can use. So, I did these already, just because I didn't think you needed to watch me do this. But the basic concept here is every bubble has a smile. So what does that mean exactly? It means that you can look at a bubble and sort of break it down into a smile. So I'm going to do it here so you can see it. Wait, I will take this other one out so you don't have to see that too. So, okay, so it's a little bit futuristic of a smile, but it is a smile. So you have the futuristic eyes, like think of them as like really cool, like eyeglass visor kind of things. And then you have the little smile down here. You see it? Here, let me see if I can zoom in. Whoop. There. Okay. There. Okay, so we're going to start with just the basic circles like these. And then I will show you the different elements that go into making these smiles. So the first part is going to be the shading. And when you do the shading, you're going to start at the 9 o'clock. Like imagine you're looking at a clock, right? And this is going to be your 9 o'clock mark. So over here is your 3 o'clock mark. Your 4 is somewhere around here. So you're looking at about 4:30. So if you need to, you know, overlay something so you can get an understanding of that, go ahead and do that. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're off a little bit, it doesn't matter. But you want to kind of come in close to that. So you want to take those two areas. Okay, so you're going to take those two areas, and you're going to try to figure out like what's the center. And here's your center. So you want to make sure that that is probably the widest part, and that's going to be your shadow. So the darkest part of your shadow is going to be up top here. And then how do you get it to be lighter? Easy question. Good question. The easy answer is to have less paint on your brush and push it around. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to move this aside for a second. So this is really weird to do an upside down clock, so bear with me. So at first your paintbrush is super stiff. Let me see if I can find it. See, it's like super stiff. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. So here's my 3 o'clock mark, right? And okay, so, or I'm sorry, there's my 9 o'clock. Here's my 3. Here's my 4:30-ish. We'll say there. Okay, so coming up in here, this is my center. Okay, so now I'm going to do an outline. This time it's with the paint. Oh, and if you can't draw a straight line, that's okay. Just do little lines. It doesn't have to be perfect. It will shock you how it looks like a bubble in spite of yourself. So I'm going to do this side just because otherwise my hand will be all over it. So notice how I'm painting, and like some of it is a little darker than others, you know, other parts of it. That's okay, it doesn't matter. Not at this stage. We're just trying to get some paint down here to work with. So the first part of this, okay, so I know that's our shadow area. That's the height, that's the middle of our shadow area. And usually if this is a lighter line, the black stands out more, but because I did a Sharpie, it might be a little harder for you to see what I'm doing. So you see, I have the outline down, and now what I'm doing is I'm basically just spreading it around. So you have your darkest part back here along, you know, the edge, and then you literally just sort of drag it out. I notice I stopped adding paint, and that's how you get a bit of a gradient with your shadow. And so what happens if you run out of paint in this part of the process where you kind of need it to be the lightest? This is actually an easy answer. You put it on the edge and you drag it out just like you did before, only now you have more paint. Okay, here's another question I'm sure somebody has. What happens when you screw up? The world does not end, and acrylic paint comes off very easily on your canvas. So you just come in and you just clean it up, and you just wipe it off. I'm not left-handed, so
You should have me do it.
yeah. But I am right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, left-handed people live longer.
That's crazy. Okay, so I still have my middle here, so I still want to bring the shadow out. So what happens if you don't have perfect shadow lines? Nothing. Absolutely nothing happens. It will not screw up your project at all. So see how I'm bringing this out? And I'm intentionally not doing it on purpose because I want you to see how it comes together anyway. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more paint. Since it's the dark part of the paint, I only want the dark part at the outer edge. So I'll put it there first. And by the way, not all circles are perfectly round. They move. Have you ever blown bubbles and like that you get these big funky globs? Yeah, that really happens in real life. They're not all perfectly round. No sweat. So now I did that again. So now this time, instead of bringing it like right next to it, I'll sort of bring it out towards the center here a little more. Same thing here. And just little swishes, you know, doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be close. Okay, so, you know, it's not totally even, but it's close enough, and that's what you're going to notice with the bubbles, okay? So don't sweat the small stuff. So like this edge in here, I'm not really that crazy about it. So I'm just going to come in and just clean it up a little bit. You can do this on your canvas. I'm going to have to just turn this because I can't do it that way. Okay, so that is the first part. Now I'm going to let this dry, and once it's totally dry, I will come back in with the white. And the way it works is, I'll explain it. So you're going to have your black shadow, then you're going to actually have your white light coming through, which is actually part of the reflection on the inside of the bubble. And then you'll come back in and you'll have the light reflection up here, and then you'll have shadow down here. So it's, I mean, if you're thinking about it this way, it would go black, white, white, black. So here it is. Well, I haven't put the shadow on this one yet. I was going to save that for later. But so black, white, white, and then down here will be the shadow. And that'll be, you know, black, gray, whatever. Okay, so that's it for right now. I will be back. It will probably be like 2 seconds for you, but it'll probably be like 20 minutes for me. So see you soon. Okay, here we are. And the black bubble is mostly dry. And so I'm going to come in for the next part, which is basically doing the same thing with the white, but where the black starts and it stops. So 9 o'clock to 4:30, but on the flip side. So since I used a Sharpie for this, I'm going to go ahead and cover that with white paint. So same technique. It's not real hard. And you know, if you don't feel comfortable, you know, going all the way around like this, you know, just do little ones. It's okay. It all works out. So same thing, you want to put your darkest, the darkest white goes on the very outside. Little bits of that black are coming through, but I'm not really worried about that because that also is where the dark shadow starts. So it's all good. So I did it on this piece of cardboard so you could see both the black and the white. Okay, so it's not perfect. You can see that. There's, you know, like it's darker here and thicker there. Don't worry about any of that. Okay, so where's our high point? The middle looks to be somewhere right around there. So you're just going to take it, and if you feel comfortable like that, and you're just going to basically move it around to that center point. Now we don't really want that center point to be real obvious to anybody else, but we just want to kind of know where it is. And that's it. That's all there is to it. I'm going to make this a little bit wider down here. Kind of maybe the same, you know, deepness as this, but it's a smaller part of the bubble. So now since I'm here, I might as well go ahead and do this part, since this is where the light reflection is. I go a little bit off of the black, just a touch. If you stay totally inside the black, that's okay too. But I'm kind of putting these futuristic kind of glasses or eyes or whatever. They're a bit of a rectangle, but not exactly. They're a little bit more of a perspective, so you'll get a slightly smaller bit on the edge than you do here in the middle. So those are the wider ones. Then you do another set following, just a little smaller, and then for the last one I just put a little dot. Doesn't matter. And then what I will do is I will let this dry. And I will come back in at the end and finish it up. You can wait until later. Here we go. Or you can put the smile in at any point. The smile is always in white, and what this is actually it's the reflection in the back of the bubble. But it does look like a smiley face, doesn't it? In a cool kind of way. Okay, so, and now we'll let this dry. And I'm going to just kind of clean that up a little bit. And you can do this while the paint is still wet. You don't ever want to start this when your painting is still wet. Just, you know, just the bubble. And that's all. we'll let this dry and then we'll come back in with the shadow and that'll be a wrap. Okay, I'll see you in a few. Okay, so here we are at the last stretch and we're going to do the shadow. So you have to decide where your shadow is. I think the biggest part of my shadow is going to be right around here. So just take little strokes. You don't have to do a big thing all the way around. And it won't matter anyway because we're going to shade this. So what I did was I started with the black paint. I just dipped my brush in it a little bit. It's not, you know, I just want to get a small line. It doesn't matter if I mess up. I just want to get that line around there. And we just want a really small line. And just take your time. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be close enough. Okay, so I'm going to keep stretching this black out as far as I can get it all the way around. But I'm going to stick down here to my main part of my shadow. And I'm just going to sort of build it out from, you know, and if you can, you know, pull it so that you can go around, that's good. But if you can't, you can pull it out this way too. You can just go from the line and then just gently pull it out. Shadows don't have to be so complicated. And there's all kinds of shadows, so you don't necessarily have to have shadows if you want your bubbles to be, you know, kind of floating in the air. But if they are floating on top of each other, there will be a shadow, at least on top of the other bubble. So keep that in mind. And I guess that does bring us to another question. What if you have a bubble on a bubble? It's not that bad. You just draw your bubbles where you want them. And you just remember to identify which bubbles are on top. So if, let's say I wanted this bubble to be on top of a little bubble, since I don't really have much room. That's pretty much the only way I can go. I'm going to freehand this, but you should probably, you know, use something round and trace it. Okay. So now this bubble is on top of this little bubble. It could be either direction. Okay. I'm going to go with the same general concept here. I'm going to do my 4:30ish to my 9 o'clock, but you can't see the 9 o'clock, so you just go out as best you can. Now I know I've got the shadow from this top one. So if I have too much paint on here, I just want to barely get a little bit of paint on here. So that's how you do it. And then you come in with your white. And you just take it like this. You're going to go right over top of that black, which I probably should have waited for it to dry, but I didn't. So I'm going to take it like this. And then okay, so don't really want that black down there. Okay, so while this black up here is drying, I'm going to go ahead and put the smile in now. See? Smile. Okay, and we're only going to do like a part of the futuristic eyes. And we're just going to do just like 2 little dots. And there you have a bubble on a bubble. And we'll just add the little shadow in a little more over here. And that's how you get a bubble on a bubble, in a bubble, around a bubble,